We'll begin today's video with a disclaimer. Your uncle's cycling highlights in this video will use images of US Postal, a legendary doping team known to all, as an example of what some World Tour teams are doing today to dope without being caught by anti-doping agencies. A method that not even Lance Armstrong himself could execute, and something allowed by WADA, and consequently by the UCI of Selfie-Lepation, who is seemingly more concerned about fighting for power with Richard Plurger than being concerned with safety in the sport he should be defending. Subscribe to the channel to see content from the Vuelta a España every day, and follow us on our new Twitter account, @UncleCycling. And now, let's explain this new method of undetectable doping in anti-doping controls by putting into context how the situation of the control system stands today. As in the past, all professional cyclists are regularly subjected to several anti-doping tests, obviously during races. But since Oscar Kamenzind was caught, totally doped to the gills more than 20 years ago, outside competition, they are increasingly subjected to out-of-race testing during training camps, or in some cases where there is suspicion about the performance of the rider in question, even at their own homes. Since 2005, this is regulated through a system called ADAMS, a huge database that has to be updated every quarter for every athlete. And this is where the data of the biological passport and all the anti-doping controls that have been passed are included, and where the athlete has to indicate where they're going to be, where they can undergo anti-doping controls, and what substances they're authorized to take with the corresponding TUEs. This system, however, has its flaws and deficits that Cycling Highlights believe should be greatly improved, especially on two key points. The first is that it allows the athlete to cheat the system by evading anti-doping controls on 2 occasions without any consequences. This, for example, has happened to 2 of cycling's great superstars. One, the White Kenyan, when in 2016 he was on vacation in Italy with his Islamophobic wife, close to Lucca, near to the home of a very well-known trainer who's also a friend of a son and grandson of dopers. Another example is provided by none other than the Danish Anchovy, who, in 2019, in his first year as a professional cyclist, was already evading anti-doping controls, with excuses such as the doorbell of his house wasn't working, or it had been impossible for him to answer phone calls after leaving his smartphone on the kitchen table. Well, we can only imagine that he would be procreating at those moments, because of course there's little else that we can think of for a man who says he doesn't take anything, and neither does the rest of the peloton. It must be that he hasn't seen our videos on cycling and doping in Portugal. Very recent cases too, not just from 30 years ago. You can't just blame friend of the channel Biana for being a doper. Someone who did that, well, they would be the worst kind of Danish hypocrite, wouldn't they? Because remember, friends, he is always a Dane. However, the second negative point of the ADAMS system is to do with this method that we'll tell you about now, and, well, it's an issue that's as simple to solve as the schedules themselves. We've always been struck by the double standards of the riders when it comes to talking about doping controls. In front of the press, everything is fantastic. They insist that they have to pass them, that they are so well implemented, and that they never test positive. However, when they come to wake them up at 5 o'clock in the morning at the hotel, please pass the control, it's all complaints. What if you woke me up? What if I was dreaming of winning the Tour de France? What if I was watching videos of my old uncle's cycling highlights? However, if the vampires knock on the door at that hour, it has to be for a reason. You see, after 11 p.m. and until 5 a.m., the anti-doping authorities can't have access to the athlete in question. You won't read this or see this very often. So what's the catch? What's the problem with this system? Surely the athletes getting their rest is important. The trick is that the team doctors know perfectly well about this regulation, and it's then, just before going to sleep, that they're administering to the athletes new doping substances whose name we won't reveal that just yet, but we know that World Tour and Pro Continental teams do follow us, and so we don't want to give any more clues out, do we? But these new doping substances generate the same favourable effect on endurance and strength that other substances could have in the past. But here's the great novelty. The traces of the drug disappear quickly from the body in just a few hours. So when the doping control vampire asks for blood or urine, there's no longer any traces of the drug, and so it's quite easy for them to avoid being caught cheating. Now, surely many of you will have heard about the progress in nutrition, about the progress in equipment and materials. But haven't you heard any cyclists talk about the improvement in the pharmaceutical industry? Evidently, everything improves with time, and there are laboratories whose main purpose is to generate sporting monsters capable of destroying all the records there are. And to do so, they manufacture the best possible substances. Every day we're inching closer to an athlete being able to take a capsule, and then suddenly after 10 minutes he already has the benefits of hours and hours of training at altitude. But no team or cyclist is ever going to talk about that in the interviews. We know that many will find this information hard to believe. Hey, this is a tinfoil hat channel. We need to see the proof. We need to see the proof of that athlete doping, like that infamous Austrian skier of the Adalas operation. Just yesterday, doping data of hundreds of Polish athletes was leaked. Athletes such as the footballer Robert Lewandowski, allegedly doped with anabolics. But then, after a statement from the Polish anti-doping agency saying that it was a lie, that hundreds of gigabytes of information had been leaked, information where they had covered up positives for anti-doping, well, many fans believed, simply because it was said in a tweet, that the leak was false and it was fake news. That is to say, there are people that, even when direct evidence is underneath their noses, they won't believe that there is doping. But to anyone else who is interested in this issue and, well, who knows how this world of professional sports works, the information provided today may serve to make some people indignant and want to start to change things. Renew the Adams system. It can't be that a professional athlete is allowed twice to be unreachable. It can't be that during certain hours the anti-doping controllers can't go to the athlete in question. It can't be that there are established schedules. If you want credibility, it must be possible at least at any time. The anti-doping authorities can't just sit on their hands waiting for a Floyd Landis-style tip-off to realise 14 years later that Lance Armstrong was doped up to his eyebrows. But hey, if WADA is the first to hide doping positives from multiple athletes, and Selfie Le Pation's UCI has no positives in the World Tour, well, it's hard to see this system ever being revamped, isn't it? But while we campaign to get at least some kind of change, you, dear viewer, you could stop by that video there on the screen. Yes, you will love it.